Hello. D Wizzle, what's up?
What's going on?
How are you, man?
And I'm great.
You got
Living the best quarantine life.
I got you. You got your makeup popping. Is that Fendi? Got the roots, got your
NC45.
edges going.
Oh, shoot. Everything's all smooth back. I was like, took me all day. I was like, you know what? Make it after 3. I can wake up at noon and get ready.
Oh, man. Nah, I can't wake up at noon, man. My body won't let me. I'm up at 7, 8, 8:30 at the absolute latest. But nah, I can't sleep till noon, brother.
I try, but a puppy gets up at 7 like clockwork.
Oh, how's little Bandit?
He's good. He's in a daycare right now.
I got you. It's been how's the training going on? You know, the bathroom breaks and all the other stuff. You teach tricks and all that other stuff.
I mean, he's good as far as being inside and knowing where he can and can't use the restroom, but I'm waiting for his last shot next week. So after pretty much a week after, he should be good to go outside. So that's another whole training process.
I got you.
I got time, you know. I think I have a little bit of time to spare.
I got you. But the only thing that's going to suck, I just thought about, he's not going to be able to be around other dogs. You know, there's like dog parks and other stuff because you're not allowed to be around other people. You have any other dogs in the...
Well, what's good about it is, funny story, which is not really out there. My roommate ended up adopting his brother. So there's actually a Chihuahua and a Beagle Chihuahua here. So
yeah, it's got a little doggy daycare going on over there.
That's why I said he's in daycare. This is when I don't watch him. I'd be like, okay, go out there. I'm closing all doors.
I got you. People I was talking about, like, this is a time to adopt a dog or a pet or anything like that. And I'm like, nah.
Yeah, we gotta get out of puppy time. Yeah, nah. Like a lot of shelters and places are doing good just because of the circumstance, you know, which is great for like dogs, you know.
Yeah, it's great for them, but I mean, like a dog, that's a big responsibility. I used to have a dog when I was younger. That is a lot, especially a puppy. That is a lot of responsibility, man. And once I go back to work, once it's busy for me again, once I'm busy, I'm out of here. I'm not at home at all. So. Yeah, and Brie will be mad if I just
dump a dog on.
Yep.
Bye.
I got you. Well, welcome to the podcast, and we just chatting so far. I'm getting the link pulled up with all the questions I have for you. Did you have a chance to look through that?
Yeah, I glanced at them. I was just like, as long as you're not asking anything too out of the box, you know.
I got you.
You know, I don't want to have to bring my lawyer in to go ahead and review questions and stuff.
I ain't got no questions like that. And be like, where were you the night of June 16th? I got you. Well, I'm just going to do my quick introduction. It's like 3 seconds long. Then I'm going to let you talk about yourself. Then we'll talk about COVID, do an icebreaker. Then we'll dive into the conversations. Cool?
Perfect.
All right, welcome to the next episode of the It Up Podcast. I have an amazing person on the line today. This person I consider my mentor. They were a major part of my career when I started, especially with the Rockets. I remember when I first met this person, very intimidating. You see that look she's doing right now? That's the look she just gave you. She'll come talk to you. Hey, what's your name? What do you want to do here? I'm like, I don't know. It's my first day. Different stuff like that, man. But amazing person. Definitely someone good to know. She's doing great things out in Los Angeles. I'll let her talk more about that in the podcast. But welcome to the stage, Danelle. I'm gonna add hand claps in there too, so it seems like there's a lot of people in there.
Yeah. I was like, it's so loud. I'm like, geez, I didn't know all these people were a part of this.
Welcome to the stage, man. How are things going for you?
Pretty good. I mean, considering the circumstances, I know everybody basically battling different things going on in their lives, but I'm blessed to have my health. My family's good. My friends are good. And to have my job. I mean, hey.
Yeah. Most importantly, you still got those jobs, especially working in entertainment where everything's on lockdown. So that's definitely a blessing, man. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and what you're doing now, where you're from, and how you got there.
That's a super long story. But my background definitely in sports. I grew up a sports fan. I obviously couldn't really play it on the court too much. So I tried to get into the WNBA, but in high school, that was not my particular path. So I better get to working on something else. I actually got introduced to game operations in college. So I got the opportunity to shadow the Houston Rockets game operations team for a couple of games. I automatically fell in love because it was something that was so eventful and so engaging for fans. And it was a career I didn't even know existed until I had that opportunity. So it was a perfect marriage of entertainment, video production, and games all in one. So from there, I had the opportunity basically to work for them part-time seasonal, in which I did for 3 seasons until my boss left to take a job at the Houston Texans. Shout out to Jackie Maldonado. She's still over there. Love her. I interviewed for her position in 2013. It was a very, very, very long process, but of course, all the steps and precautions were taken just to make sure they had the right fit. So at the end of the day, I was able to secure the job as a game operations coordinator. I worked basically under the umbrella of production, which was great because it opened my eyes to how the studio and in film integration and contest integration via Jumbotron meshed into how you had your on-court contest. So it was an understanding of the marriage of that, but then also a compliment on my background because my major in college is radio, television, and film. So with the understanding and the ability to edit along with storytelling, along with being able to do live events, it was the perfect job post-college to be introduced into.
Nice. That's really dope, man. And Danelle was my boss at the Houston Rockets. You know, she gave me an opportunity. I initially started in a different department with the marketing associates, and how I was able to get an opportunity there is my current boss in that department. We were just chatting it up, and you know, I started asking about opportunities to go work with in that department, in that field, because I would always see it, and I had an opportunity to do that same type of stuff with the Texans. So I was just like, I want to see how the NBA operates and how they do those things. And she was a little hesitant at first because, you know, of course, you know, some people, want to be around the stars and you think it's glitz and glamour or whatever. But she strictly saw, you know, the passion that I had. And I just love that, like, butterfly, you know, feeling when you're getting out there and when you're creating this concept and now you're going out there to perform, to show it to the world. So that's definitely one of my passions in life, and being able to work under you and doing that, you know, you're one of definitely top 3 bosses of all time in my career. So I love that mentorship thing that you have going on. I think that's really important in this industry. We don't see that with a lot of individuals. So you definitely have that great quality with you. So I will go ahead and do an icebreaker. You probably remember this. I based this game off, you know, whenever we have some people come down and shadow with us, you know how we roll t-shirts, we'll do top 5 rappers. Same concept, you know, it'll be the icebreaker just to get to know individuals and help start those conversations. So I'm not going to do top 5 rappers. I'm going to do top 5 artists, musicians, artists. So pop, singers, EDM, whatever, across the board. Let's go. Top 5.
Right now, still in the game, past, what are we talking? What's the air?
So what?
What's the air? Like right now, people that are still in the game. Like,
it's up to you. Top 5, your personal list, your personal top 5 best artists of all time.
Yeah, best artist of all time. That's a super hard question. Mm-hmm. Dang, I guess I would have to start with number 5.
No particular order. You don't have to place them in order.
Hey, this wasn't on your interview sheet, Q.
It was. It was. Top 5 artists.
Oh man, I really didn't scroll then. I would definitely say Aaliyah. Aaliyah was really underrated. I think, of course, Gone Too Soon. Who knows what she could have done so far in this industry and in the time. So I think she was basically just breaking the ice into her career before her tragic death. She's somebody, you know, who I've heard through the industry had a great personality and just willing to work hard. So that's something, whereas the time I spent in LA and the people that I've met even mentioned her. So crazy. And whenever, you know, humbleness meets good work ethic meets talent, it's hard to find. So that's somebody I would name in that. Another person I would name, I would have to go toward a group, you know.
Go for it.
one of my favorites and always has been Mint Condition. So big Mint Condition fan. Nothing left to say. Pretty Brown Eyes. You Send Me Swinging. Like, I am definitely a fan. They really do put on great concerts. I've seen them twice. Probably would see them more as soon as we're able to be more than 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
So it's a standout group to me. Another person I would say, of course, stands out in the industry. I'm trying to do a mix. We got a group. We got a female R&B artist. Let's go into rappers. So, of course, out of my bag, you probably think I'm going to say Bow Wow because Bow Wow was the guy. I was like, you guys can't debate that. I mean, from the 2000s, he rocked it. You already know who he was on 106 and Park. And for people who don't know that, still need to do their homework about that iconic show. But if I think about rappers and basically how they can like stand the ground and have flow and have content, I would definitely say Snoop Dogg. And I say Snoop Dogg just because he, as a rapper, was able to change with the times. Mm-hmm. A lot of rappers basically got into other ventures in order to sustain themselves. But don't get me wrong, he did too. But then have you ever seen somebody from the 90s, the 2000s, 2010, and 2015 and beyond that's still relevant for their flow or being on records or having albums drop or being consistent? Like, he's still rapping. Like, yep. and it's still music that people listen to today. He's, of course, a great father. He's somebody who's really, 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 really into his community. So I would say he's somebody, who's like in all spectrums has been leading the charge since forever. Gotcha. So you can't help to listen to his classics, like Gin and Juice and Drop It Like It's Hot and just those other club bangers. It's how he's able to continue to push out music. So just waiting for whatever he's coming out in the next 2 months, just because everybody's under the same situation of nothing but time. So I hope he's in the studio doing big things. Who else? I am thinking about.
That was 3.
That was 3
mm-hmm.
Already?
Well, were you counting Bow Wow?
What do you call them things? He's just lucky to be within the topics of conversation. Maybe because he was in Snoop Dogg's video. So let's just say he was
honorable mention.
There you go. Just because of the association and kind of how he got brought into the game. If I go into female groups, that's something I will look at as far as category. Of course, Destiny's Child. Lots of ballads. And as you know, they all went their separate ways. Beyonce, of course, well-known. Kelly, of course, well-known. LaToya and LaTavia, of course, had their own paths. Then you had the other 2 that joined the group. So many different things as far as how that group was transitioned. But the music that they came out with during, my childhood and just the music that they continue to come out with as individuals, you can't top Beyonce. Like, there's no argument there. So, I mean, if I couldn't put her as the female solo artist, I'd definitely put her in the group and call it a day and listen to that.
Valid choice.
Funny fact is, I worked at Music World Entertainment for about 6 months at the same time as when I was working for the Rockets. So I worked underneath Matthew Knowles. Very interesting guy. On the other side of that is I've heard so much Destiny's Child and Beyonce music because that's the music we had playing 24/7 every time I would be in that building. So there was a point in time where I was just like, guys, okay, Beyonce, it's enough. I'm maxed out, but it's understandably why, because I had to listen to it for 6 months for a very fun work day.
That's good. That's a solid choice. Fun story about Destiny's Child. My grandfather used to be a musician himself, and he'll be a blues player. And I'm not sure if you were in Houston during this time. You ever heard of Fun Day in the Park?
No.
So it was like this small, it's pretty much a small festival. It was meant for the community. It was free for people to come out, and they had a music stage where a couple local artists would come and perform. This is when Destiny's Child first started. Like, this is when Matthew was like shipping them across Houston, going to every radio station, flying them wherever he can. This was my very first concert. I probably was like 5, 6 or whatever. I actually met Beyonce and all the girls and got their autograph on this poster. And I will never forget this poster because it had all the elements. It was like Beyonce was fire, Kelly was wind, somebody was water, etc. I wish I would have kept that poster if I would have known where Beyonce was going to go. Like that was fire experience, man. They were just so nice. But other thing is, Beyonce wasn't even my favorite. I had a crush on LaToya. I was trying to holler at her. She was peeping your boy a little bit. I was like, I had the curls and light eyes. She was peeping your boy. I got you at number 4 with Destiny's Child.
I got one more. I was like, no, that's pretty hard. And all those that I named, that's in no particular order because, as you know, my music choice in my life can be between the 90s, 2000s, and then every once in a while I'll throw in something that's probably current between last year and this year. But I think I would dig a little bit deeper and somebody whose music had a lot of influence across all genres. I'd probably put Michael Jackson.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of his songs, of course, people are sampling today. And if you do sample it, you better do a great job on it because people have the ears and they know exactly where that music or the tone comes from in a sense. But he is definitely somebody who was the most talented person in his family. And unfortunately, a lot of things maybe made his career and his lifestyle and some of the choices, and toward the end it overshadowed who he was as a musician, as an artist. But if you dig into like his music, like Man in the Mirror and of course his iconic albums like Thriller, you understand that he was ahead of his time, and he understood the content that he was putting out. So I would put him definitely in that category of being in my top 5.
I got you. My top 5, break those down. Drizzy Drake, Houston native. we birthed him.
I give it to him. He's been amazing. I just like how his albums basically touch a different genre, and that tells you about how transparent you can be and how like still influential and you are still putting out great content. I mean, even though I'm trying to get this sissy side down, it's a great song.
Absolutely. Like when he first came out, I was like, wait, people, black men can be sensitive? We can tell you about our feelings?
Yeah.
What? I was like, okay.
Degrassi Drake, Holler.
I never seen the Degrassi. I never saw
Degrassi. Yeah, really? That was one of the high school shows that they had on television that whenever I was at my dad's house, I was like, time to watch Degrassi.
Wow. So. I need to go back. I got time to binge watch some stuff. I'm going to add it to the list. Drizzy Drake. We're Wheelchair Jimmy. Next one is Beyonce, of course. I mean, the queen. She put on an amazing performance. I've been to the Formation tour, the On the Run tour, put on phenomenal shows. She takes her craft very seriously. Then she's a Houston native, so definitely had to add it to the list. Chris Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Brown, amazing talent, legend in his own right. I know he had some hiccups in his career, but as an artist, from just an artist standpoint, man, nobody working harder than him. Nobody's as creative. Nobody's as diligent as him when he goes towards his craft. Also, puts on amazing performance. Love his concerts. You ever been to a Chris Brown show?
Yeah, you know it.
Got you. Number 4, I'll say I will compare this guy to Snoop Dogg. Just stands the test of time, generational. Usher.
Oh, yeah.
Usher is an amazing guy. He's still putting out music. Sex Beat is fire. So he got the Confessions album, man. I had to beg my mom to take me to an Usher concert. Look, 13-year-old boy wants to go see Usher. I was like, me. Number 5, Childish Gambino. I love Donald Glover, man.
Really?
Love Donald Glover, man. Wow. He is fire. He is so talented, man. Just not musically, just also from, things that he do on the screen. I love Atlanta. You watch Atlanta?
I've watched like 3 episodes. I couldn't get into it at the time, but I was like, it's something I'll probably revisit, especially since I have some time. So.
Yeah, it's on Hulu, man. Check it out. I'm rewatching it. Amazing show. You just have to walk into it knowing it's going to be weird. just knowing it's gonna be weird, and he really puts his all into it. So he's just an amazing artist that I respect. The last album he just put out, fire. Love it, love it, love it. All right, so that was our top 5. All right, so what is your title with the Los Angeles Sparks?
My official title, I am the Senior Director of Game Operations, Entertainment and Promotions.
Just add more letters to there. Just add more letters. Just
get all the titles. It goes on and on. You know, those are 3 areas, but they dig really, really deep. So yeah.
What does it take to produce a live event in your role with the Los Angeles Sparks?
What does it take? It takes vision. It takes a team, period. Like, I've always been a team-oriented person, so I believe I don't know everything. So I surround myself with people who are like excellent in their field, and I continue to learn myself while coaching and teaching interns. So I believe I'm in the perfect position to not only showcase what I have and I bring to the table, but I feel like we come as like the Avengers and sit down and like, okay, guys, what are we going to do and how are we going to get this done? So being a visionary, being somebody who is not afraid of criticism and inputs and having to collectively work together, it takes a team, creativity, effort, patience, coaching, and knowing the rules, right? So in anything that you do, you have to know the rules and you have to know your audience. I preach this all the time because people sometimes forget, and you have to take your personal preference out of things sometimes. At the end of the day, it's who is your audience.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to do what's best for who's paying to watch it via television, in person, what have you. So it's important to know them. What it takes to do my job, I have to be basically the glue. I've always been the glue for the most part. I've gotten used to that from my years at the Houston Rockets and being able to communicate with corporate group sales, video production, you name it, and to have an understanding of how long things actually take and who to go to and how to pitch something and get it done and prop creation. So a lot of that practice in just the game operations world with fans that we're in a building from like, I want to say at the minimum of 16,000 people, then I got used to being a part of a show and producing one and watching everything. So I take that, and for the LA Sparks and knowing that I have so many things to look out for, it's basically who's in charge of what, how can I help, and then carry my own load. I tell everybody I run on plan B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K. I need them to run A. So I'm looking out for every mistake or anything that could be coming up, just being proactive about situations. The last thing for my job, it takes attention to detail. So it's the slightest things, like from creating PAs to writing down details with numbers to talking to corporate sponsors to you can even say the entertainment half of it, revising contracts. I do a lot of stuff. So you have to basically look at it with 3 different eyes. Like if I do something and I know it's taking a lot of my time and it's very detailed, I don't just do that first draft and send it. I probably will sit on it for a couple of days, read it backwards, read it again, get some input from somebody else before sending it, depending on what level of importance it's on. So it's attention to detail. My job, it's fast paced. It's super fun. It's forever changing. You have to learn how to stay ahead of the things that are basically happening in the entertainment industry and basically marry it into game operations and sports, because at the end of the day, they've been in a relationship for a long time. So whether you're at the game for the players itself, or whether you're there because of the music and experience and the integration with corporate sponsorship, or you're looking at some of the things on the Jumbotron, it has to connect. It has to make sense. It has to be seamless. It has to tell a story. It has to have so many elements that click, that work, that showcase the brand. So I can like talk about my job forever, and it has so many things to it, so many pieces, and so many other things that I've learned along the way after accepting the job in March of 2017. But honestly, Q, as it goes back to how did I get into the sports industry, this is something that landed on my lap because I was discovered via LinkedIn. So I always advocate for people to be a part of LinkedIn and to make sure your profile is always updated, to make sure you actually don't just set up a profile and not engage with those that you add. You know, you have to make sure you use it to its fullest capability. And a lot of professionals are on there. So I digress because I get into my teacher spirit because daughter of two teachers. But being here in LA and my job in essence is basically being the head of the Avengers. And I give credit to everybody that's around me because without them, I cannot pull it off. Without working with AEG or my entertainment manager or my game operations manager or all these wonderful dancers and hosts and DJs, I cannot pull this off. So that's my job in essence.
Absolutely. You just answered 16 of my questions in one breath. So that's the episode, guys. Thank you guys so much for sending in. I'm kidding.
I get to preaching on tangent. I was like, you know what? I'm going to insert this here. But wait, what was the question in my mind? So I can reverse that. But yeah.
Completely fine. All that is valuable information. The fact that you got picked up off of LinkedIn, that is amazing. Which job picked you up off of LinkedIn?
So it was the LA Sparks. Their VP at the time reached out to me. Who sent the job description. She asked me if I was interested and that if I was, she would like to schedule a call with me. So from something, whereas I was a coordinator for one of the top teams in the NBA and getting a chance to interview for a director's position in the WNBA, then I love challenges. I will pick up my stuff and move. Who doesn't love the West Coast? Originally from Seattle. So who doesn't love the movie Love and Basketball where Sanaa Lathan ends up aka Monica, ends up playing for the Sparks. So I'm just like, okay, it's a move. I have some research to do because as you know, the game times and everything's a little bit different, but I'm up for the challenge. So yeah.
I got you. Nice pivot to my next question. What is the difference between producing a NBA show and a WNBA show?
Producing a WNBA show versus the NBA, of course, NBA is way more popular than the WNBA. They have way more games. Their season is broadcasted on a very high level. There's so many people that you know from the NBA that kind of have brands of their own. WNBA is totally different, although it lives underneath that umbrella, right? So the budget is an extreme difference between the two. The season, the rules within the game as far as the timeouts, the integrations, in which I'm responsible for understanding to make sure we don't get fines. All of that is different. WNBA and just working for two different sides of the ball, I feel like the NBA, of course, attention to detail, very, very important in front of 18,000 fans, because how embarrassing it is to have a PA submitted and it's past tense or it's a promotion that's no longer running. So you just have to be very, very diligent. And same for the WNBA, but then with this position and this job, I get to be as creative as I want to be. But the underlining factor to that is I have to be creative within a budget, which is the fun part because it stretches you to figure things out. Like with 3 different departments to be in charge of and basically have a budget for, and to be in charge of 70 people and to understand how everything flows in the best way to get the best out and to represent the brand and be creative. The WNBA, the Sparks, they stretch you in that. So I'm already creative, but I've never had to be so creative in my life in some essence. But it's a great thing because it tells me what I can do under certain terms, right? So the difference is, of course, NBA more popular, easily marketed. WNBA not so much. WNBA basically are still professional women. They're great. They definitely deserve more. So luckily the CBA deal that happened in 2019 and some other things that were coming down the pipe to make changes to that and to showcase that women's sports are important, which is great. And that's happening and people are noticing. So appreciative of that part of it. But at the end of the day, it's 2 different sides of the same sport. And I can't say which one is which one is more like fun to be a part of, because in different factors of my life, I've grown. So to be able to say that in the WNBA and the Sparks and what I understand versus where I started and what I understood then. So yeah.
I got you. So that was definitely a big transition for you. But you definitely the best person for the job in regards to, being very creative and, having to work with not too much, pretty much gotta, create a buffet meal with a slice of bread and two fish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Specialty. My limitations on cooking.
Oh man, you gotta cook more. I need to buy your cookbook.
Oh man, that's not gonna help. Buy me a chef to go with
it. I got you. So with you working in Staples Center, how do you navigate working with Staples Center, and how creative can you get? Because Staples Center is just so busy with concerts, Lakers, I believe Kings are in there as well, and you just have these different moving parts. So does that limit you on how you can approach certain things? Because I know you're responsible for also the presentation outside of the court as well, in regards to, when fans walk in and those different, activations, for the experience for a fan. How does that affect you?
I mean, you're talking about summer versus spring, fall, and everything. So, of course, when you have a season that sometimes overlaps with the NBA playoffs, because as you see, the Lakers are kind of good now, the Clippers are kind of good now, the Kings have been good for a little while. So it's kind of like intrudes in our season sometimes, because that schedule, they have to work out logistically what they're building. So sometimes it can reflect on how, where we start, right? So we start preseason offsite anyway, but then when it comes to our home game, we love to be home at Staples Centers because there's nothing like that particular environment. But being in charge of parking, concourse, receptions, game day activations, everything bundled into one, there's not too many complications. I was able to kind of iron out the hiccups within the first 2 weeks, not 2 weeks, I would say 2 months of kind of starting and understanding what's going on, and to make small changes each time and put systems in place. That's key right after you kind of see how things are. And it's just like, okay, how do you better some of the problems or structure, or just fix the small problems. That's it. And then sooner or later it becomes easier to be able to have events because they become turnkey. Also, in the sense that you build relationships with people that work at Staples Center. So I'm the liaison between the Sparks and the Staples Center. So whenever we are playing a game over there, I'm the one they're in contact with. From, like I said, all the logistics that I mentioned, and sometimes for b-ball operations, it all depends. So to have those relationships, and then also in contact with AEG, who produces a lot of the content. So both of those pieces are key in Staples Center. There are a lot of great people who work for both of those teams, very appreciative of them. And it's become like I feel like they're my cousins, right? So I was just like, I'm that person who's constantly talking to them, but I'm like, but it's me. Can you me, please? Or sometimes it's just one of those things where, hey, rules are rules. We got to get this done. But at the end of the day, Q, it is basically your work ethic. It is relationships. It is kind of understanding what can and can't be done. So as far as any type of problems, not too many. It's been a lot of fun. Not any outside of the box problems that you wouldn't have if you worked for the Lakers or the Clippers. We just, like I said, in some instances have to be a little bit more creative, and I accept that challenge all day, every day.
I got you. With those other sports entities that are in the same building, do you guys have a working relationship or some type of relationship or respect factor for each other? Your peer at Lakers, etc.
Sports is such a small world to the point where their game operations director, I've known him since 2013. I met him when I was working NBA All-Star in Houston. So working alongside these people, and then working kind of like a brother and sister relationship within the Staples Center, it's like you have those connections, you can share those ideas, you can express those concerns as it relates to being in the same home. Although, like I said, the Lakers and the Sparks, they're not associated, but to have like relationships with their marketing people, their game operations people, working with Clippers, I know people off the Kings, it's very helpful when it comes to, like I say, being able to problem shoot if anything goes wrong with Staples Center, or it's just like, hey guys, how did you solve this? Or AEG did this for me. What do y'all think? So it's a great platform to have and to converse and to utilize in my position. So.
Got you. So, of course, we're talking about creativity, and we have a lot of ideas. That's why I like talking with you, because sometimes my brain is just going. I have all these ideas, and sometimes you got to be my anchor to bring me back down to earth, to be realistic. But in that field, sometimes you just got to, shoot from the hip sometimes in regards to problem solving. That's a big part of our job when it comes to production. When we have those ideas, how do you navigate from the idea to the pitch to the execution? Could you explain me that process?
Yeah, easy. The idea, I cannot help. My mind is always going with ideas anyway. So it's that piece, but you filter through ideas, right? So you can have a bazillion of them, but at the end of the day, it goes back to what I said. Who's your audience? So I was like, it scales back, and you have, more of the ideas that fit that demographic or that lifestyle, what have you. And then from there, you figure out the end result of the person the end result of what you're trying to do, right? So you have even more of a filtering process when you think about that half. And then you think about, okay, on an engagement level, what can I do? Okay, you have that engagement level, but then you also go, what's the budget? So it's like this idea process that you go through to come up with the best idea for that particular, integration or activity or promotion or event, to make sure everything aligns. So I'm very, very careful in what I pitch, to be honest with you. I've always been that way. I was that person in class who didn't say anything unless I had something great to say, period, because my mind goes and filters through my ideas. From there, it's pretty much worked out, because I'm just like, hey, this is what it should, this is what you can pitch. This is why, this is basically how it will work. This is how much it will cost. This is who you can contact. This is how you can basically piggyback off of that to get more done. So my mind works in a way where I'm able to puzzle in where it best benefits all those three areas. The thing, like I said, that comes into play when you think about the sports, like the WNBA, the G League, the smaller teams that aren't like your big franchise teams, you have to think about budget. And for that, my friend, that's where sponsors come in. And you just got to sell sponsors on why should they do something, and what do they get out of it? Because at the end of the day, selfishly, in all worlds, even for yourself, you think about, if I'm going to do this, what do I get? So it's just, the way some of majority of human minds think. So
I got you. Yeah, especially with I always had, of course, I had the ideas. My big issue when I first started in this industry is the pitch. I never really I didn't have a background in entertainment when I first got hired by the Texans, so if I ever had an idea, I just told somebody, I just said it out loud. There was no filter with me at some points. I'm like, I'm in the building, I'm shooting off all these ideas. Somebody's going to stick. I remember one conversation I had with Jackie, and I remember I was just trying to pitch this really cool idea I had about having like this red smoke with Toro, who's the mascot of Houston Texans. He comes out this red smoke, and I tried to pitch it to her, and she just stared at me like I was Boo Boo the Fool, and she was like, "Cute, what do you want? What do you want to do?" But I learned I had to speak a certain way. I had to bring facts. I couldn't bring, guessing games or anything like that. I need to have real life materials on paper. Where can we find this material? What does it look like? How much will it cost? All those things. So definitely that's important whenever you have an idea, but just got to be, have all your I's dotted, T's crossed whenever you're approaching somebody with that type of situation. With you, that's a great segue to my next question for you. I know when you got there, you created these new elements for the LA Sparks. I wanted you to talk about a little bit. I know one of them was the throwback parties and stuff like that you helped pitch, and you're, I think the president at that time was definitely thrilled with all the activities that you brought on. Could you explain to us, How did you get that idea? What was the process for you to even get it going and the results from it?
Oh yeah. One of the main things that sticks out in my mind so far is our Take Me Back Tuesday, which is our 90s theme game. Um, so I've always been a fan of the 90s. I cannot help myself. Like, I don't know what it is about the Mint Conditions, the Boys the Men, the Brian McKnight, the John B's. I can name them all because I listen to them all.
Yeah.
The TLCs, the Belle Biv DeVoe, you name it, I'm listening. I know about it. So I've always been passionate about 90s. I know the Rockets had Throwback Thursdays, so they probably would implement 3 to 4 a year. And of course, I'm slipping the DJ my own personal list. I want to hear. And he was like, okay. He's like, okay, Nelly. And I was like, okay, thank you. And I just had my own personal concert within the game that I'm working, and nobody really like knew. I'd be like, yeah, I was like, I'm over here making requests. I done broke time. But this is even more so to kind of bring something that is close apart to me and very important, and it helps out with games as far as having separation of your content. So when you get into theme day games, it's very, very important. And to me, when I think about that, I think about our season ticket members, because of course they're coming for the love of the game and the players and the connectivity that they built within the WNBA and Sparks specifically. But I think about what can we do to further engage and keep them happy, and theme days are the root of that. And it's very important to be able to switch and to have some kind of direction you're going in game in and game out. And it makes it fun. I mean, you have something to tell your entertainers to, whether it's like a Latino Heritage Night, whether it's like a Take Me Back Tuesday, whether it's like a night where you're honoring, women across sports and just in the industry who've made a difference. So Take Me Back Tuesday, our 90s edition, it was a little bit hard to put on the table just because, of course, this is something I pitched after my year one. What definitely helped, though, and how God works is the person I ended up hiring for my coordinator. She had a background in the industry. She ended up to be one of the dancers for BBD. So having that connection even more so was like, I'm supposed to be doing this. So watch me pitch this for real, for real. So we were able to convince her that this night would not be corny, number one, because you're dealing with two people. I can be a tad bit corny sometimes. It depends what it is. But she basically, Deborah, who is my senior entertainment manager now, she basically ruled the world of choreography, dancing, you name it, she got it. She's the pulse of LA to me. So we were able to come up with a Take Me Back Tuesday 90s themed game. Our first one was a couple years ago, and it was bomb. Like, we hear stuff every year, whereas people are looking for the entertainment because it's LA, number one. So we brought LA music into the Sparks game with 90s. So it's something that kind of brings back those memories for people who, enjoyed that era, had good times during that era. And even if you weren't in that era, it's just like, oh, my mom listened to this. So it's some kind of a relation to it and nostalgic feeling. So our first one, we basically worked with T-Boss from TLC, and we worked with BBD. We had basically a couple of them show up to the game that night. T-Boz, we did a spinoff and had her basically do, a reception for like a meet and greet with her book, A Stick Life, and do autographs and talk to folks, plug our in-arena host into there for our integration. We played 90s music all night. We had contests going as far as 90s related themes. Our players wore throwback stuff as they walked through the halls and prepared for the games. It was just one of those nights and a memorable night where it's just like, you understand how big the entertainment industry is and why sports and entertainment, especially music, is married, and just how it helps live production. It was like a mini concert within a game. And me, like I said, with our DJ T Gray at Houston Rockets, I couldn't help myself. I'd be like, I need to hear this, and this, DJ Molsky. I got this song. So it's about the production and the value and bringing something different to the plate where people are talking about till this day. And we were able to make it a staple where we do it every year. So the first year was BBD and TLC. the next year we did a tribute to Bad Boys. And when I tell you, like, halftime was lit, choreographed by the one and only Deborah Moulton and a few others. But the way that everything was like put together and produced, it's about generating and being able to have nights that stand out and really hone in on that theme. So Take Me Back Tuesday, of course, definitely still planning to do it this year when our season picks up. And I don't know if she wants me to say this, but we're going West Coast. So the plan was to do West Coast and basically knowledge, of course. You got your Snoop, of course, RIP the Nip, and just a lot of West Coast people in the game that we can highlight and showcase. This is home, you know? So, yeah.
I got you. Speaking of RIP Nip, I mean, were you a big Nipsey Hussle fan? I know you were there, you know, when that incident happened. What was the vibe out there? You know, how did it affect you, if it did?
Funny thing about Nip is I was not a huge fan of him, I want to say musically. Maybe I've heard a couple of songs, but as a person and everything that he was doing for the community, that was, to me, louder being in LA than his music. So imagine that, like, his music already reached different states and was already huge, but the stuff that he did for his community was crazy. So interesting story was we were basically working on our player intro video, which of course people in the sports world know that time and the focus on just putting together a video that's 1 minute to 1:30 to introduce players and to set the tone for the game. Deborah, like I said, entertainment manager, she was speaking to Nipsey's brother prior to his death, I want to say a couple of seasons ago. And he agreed to basically do the intro video with us because he was so passionate about women's basketball and giving back. And at the time, he was out of the country. But when he came back, they were going to talk some more about what that looks like and how to basically help out Marathon Clothing. And there was this whole like integration around Nipsey and the Sparks. And she was really, really working on that. And then it didn't work out that year because I think something about him not being back in the country at that time, because I know he did a lot of traveling. But we were still kind of working on what can we still do with him, you know, moving forward. And then this happened, you know. I mean, the deal and the relationship was so close where she was meeting at the Marathon Clothing store with the brother. She was like, you know, behind the scenes talking and trying to move pieces and try to bring that notoriety to the Sparks through music. And something that's so tragic happens like this, and it's just like, dang. I'm like, he was a hero to his community for the things that he's done and how he was giving back. And he was more than music. Like I said, and what I initially said is like the things that he was doing for his community here, being in LA, was louder than his music, and his music was good. So
yeah, when his death happened, I mean, I'm not privy to his music whatsoever. But when it did happen, just the outcall from everybody on social media, from his peers, you know, everybody in the entertainment business who spoke nothing but great things about him, and it was just heartbroken. You know, I feel like it was that same vibe, almost similar to the same vibe when Prince and Michael Jackson died. You know, just that same heartbreaking, it's too soon, why now, they were a legend and things like that. So, but yeah, I wish I was a bigger fan of his to really, you know, understand that depth. You know, I don't think we even have anybody in Houston who's at the same level. Maybe Beyonce. If Beyonce goes, the world just needs to stop. Jesus needs to take the world.
That's worldwide. That's on some Kobe stuff. I'd probably compare it to your home dude. What's his name?
Bun B.
Yep, that's your bun. Between your bun and your Slim. So
Slim goes. Nah,
yeah.
Man. Yeah, that would hurt. We almost lost him.
Yeah, you know his music, but then you know he's done a lot for the community, period. You know?
Him and Trey the Truth. Trey the Truth has done so much for the community, man. The relief game, man. Shout out to them. Yeah. I wish I able to help them out a little bit more if they have opportunities, but Trey the Truth does so much. Him and I forgot the DJ name that works at iHeart, but do a lot. All right, we're going to. We're sticking around deaths in LA. You were around when Kobe, unfortunately, happened. Talk to me how that vibe was and if it affected you, etc.
Crazy story about Kobe's passing. I wasn't in LA. I was actually in Florida. I was
Wow.
I was working an event in Florida.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So, and I was in a meeting. I remember that. We were kind of going through rehearsals, and I happened to be like close to my phone. And of course, my mom loves to text me updates all the time. Shout out to her. She's like my news source. And she sent me a TMZ article with Kobe and the helicopter thing. And I start reading. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm in this meeting and I'm like, and I have this oh my God moment. And then I just break out. I was like, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just like, I don't know if you guys heard or not, but TMZ reported that Kobe and at the time it was like 7, 8 others died in the helicopter crash because of course, there was speculations that it was his family and it kind of became another ordeal with Rick Fox and all this. But I was telling them, I was like, Kobe. And I was like, that hit me. Like my heart sunk. And I was just like, it was just crazy. And everybody just paused and everybody jumped on their phone right after and started looking and trying to see and to see if that was true or not. And it's just like, man, when it was deemed to be true, mood shift. Like, mind you, I'm in the middle of rehearsals for an event that goes on probably in the next 18 hours. And I'm able to pay attention, but I'm not all there, because I'm sitting up there taking in the fact that a legend, somebody who's done so much for, women's sports, the WNBA, you can say was one of his next projects. And it's like the great in basketball and in the spirit of competitiveness and the girl dad and just so many things about Kobe that people admired, So love him, hate him, Lakers fan, not a Lakers fan. I wasn't a Lakers fan. I didn't like Kobe. But the type of dude that he was, amazing. Like you can't say that you don't want to have any type of work ethic like he did. Crazy work ethic. And the stories that you hear and the funeral and hearing from MJ and Shaq and, chick that was just drafted, you think about, dang, this man died too soon. Dang, I'm so sorry that everybody that was on that helicopter perished because the world's never been the same since.
Nope. Not at all. Not at all. I was actually going towards Royal Rumble that was happening in Houston that same night, and I was literally getting ready to park when I just happened to get a notification on Facebook saying RRP Kobe. I'm like, what? Then the notification for TMZ came in like 10 seconds later. I'm like, oh my God, you gotta be freaking kidding me. I just couldn't believe it. I was just hoping it was just one of those fake things, because you see those celebrity death things, get passed around a lot. But then the added emotion to it is knowing his daughter was in there as well.
Yeah.
I was like, daughter that could have been just as great as him, from a women's basketball standpoint. And it was just like so sad. And you just don't know what to say or do in those type of moments. You just got to sit still, pause, and just, you're in your thoughts at that moment. But, Kobe was definitely, somebody that was very iconic, a legend, and definitely changed the game as a whole. I'm not even a basketball fan, but you can't tell me you had a paper ball trash can and you didn't yell, Kobe. Just that's how influential he was. So definitely rest in peace to him, and in respect to the other families lost in that crash as well, and to the Bryant family and everything. So, oh man, you got me tearing up, man. Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm so good. It's time for you to throw in one of those icebreakers. How about that?
I got you. All right. One has to go. I'm going to give you 4 choices. One of those items and everything under that category has to go away. For example, if you say Usher, all his music goes away. If you say sports, football, basketball, competitive hot dog eating goes away. So,
quarantine spirit.
Yes.
Got it.
All right. One has to go. You got 90s R&B, 2000s R&B, 90s hip hop, or 2000s hip hop. One has to go.
It's funny. I got to say 90s hip hop because 2000s hip hop will take out Bow Wow and Jaquan and those guys. So. Oh, Everybody's just like, what the heck is she talking about? Hilarious.
No. Let me just let me refresh your memory on some people you're getting rid of in the 90s. You're getting rid of Tupac Shakur. Tupac Shakur is out of here. That means
That's
no
fine.
Tupac.
Look, no, his music is out, but you couldn't say I can read his poetry. Go on.
Nope. Him as a person does not exist.
No.
No Tupac. No poetic justice. None of it. Then Wu-Tang, I can't speak right now. Wu-Tang Clan. You just talked about the Bad Boys reunion. That's all 90s, baby. Public Enemy.
No, I mean, I get a little bit of that. I'll get 112 back. So, okay.
The Fugees. You don't mess with the Fugees?
I wasn't a really big fan anyway.
Okay. Naughty by Nature.
Hip Hop Hooray. Yeah.
You lose it. It's gone. Bone Thug. No Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh, that was one of my favorite groups.
Bone Thugs and Harmony. They are fire. I actually worked their show. They are really, really nice. They are very laid back. But they also just like, they're very nice, but they also got that factor to them that they're not going to take any BS. You know, you're not going to play them. All right. So you're getting rid of 90s hip hop. You sure?
I mean, I know that see, that's why Snoop and Jay-Z, like, and Nas, they're okay because they did stuff in 2000s and whatever. So yeah. I'm saying, yeah.
Some of their best products happened in the 2000s. So I get that. I got you. All right. Let's go back into the convos. How was the transition from you going to Houston to LA? Especially as LA is like the capital of entertainment and you're like in the entertainment producing role.
I mean, it was cool. Of course, there's always a learning curve. I mean, you can know the ins and outs of your job, but what changes is the location. What changes is your audience. What changes is, the people that you work with. It's a lot of different elements that change, but I think I was fine. I think I was prepared. I think I was open-minded, especially for a challenge. It wasn't only just the Rockets that I worked. I got the opportunity to work 4 NBA All-Stars. I worked 2 college bowl games. I basically helped to produce the USA men's basketball game in 2016. Like I said, I worked for Beyonce's dad for about 6 months. I've done a lot of different stuff. So to be able to just take everything that I've learned and bring it to LA, it was a fun time to be able to have all those experiences, mesh them into this new job, but to understand the audience and the culture and to bring out the best, I mean, over time, make small changes and understanding the rules, of course, like I told you, you're understanding the brand, you're understanding the culture, understanding everything, you're taking small steps, but you're inserting yourself into this whole change, and you're staying true to the vision, true to what you see, you're putting together a team, and you're putting in the work ethic. I in year 1, there's nothing that I can say. I believe it was, of course, the hardest year because I'm moving on top of a new job, on top of new people, on top of just all these different things hitting at the same time. But don't forget, when I got here in 2017, the Sparks won the 2016 WNBA championship. So there you go with a ring ceremony, a banner ceremony. You're talking about I'm having to hire a couple of people to work underneath me. I have to do entertainment auditions. I have to basically talk to AEG and Staples Center and kind of learn what procedures took place. I had like a bazillion, 100 million things to do when I got there. So it's like being thrown into the fire in March and the season starts in May. So there's nothing that I even look back to today's pandemic that I'm not ready for. I mean, I accept the challenge. I know things and times have changed, and it's like being able to adapt and understand what's the new game,
I got you. You got into this business not by yourself. I think relationships and networking is one of the most important things in regards to navigating entertainment or any industry. Why, with you, is mentoring so important?
Because it's important to give back. I mean, as a daughter of 2 teachers, my grandma was also a teacher. I know that I couldn't be a teacher. It was not for me. So this is how I give back knowledge and the understanding and being able to coach in the atmosphere in which I enjoy and love and have super passion for, it's important to tell those who want to be in the industry, not necessarily how to get there, because you can't tell them how. Everybody has their different paths, but you tell them how to be prepared, or you tell them something that will keep them, a foot ahead of somebody else. So whether I'm preaching about LinkedIn or whether I'm talking about my mistakes, and whether I'm talking about how I think about things before I do them, whether I'm connecting them with somebody else I know that's within what they're wanting out of a career, or who has vital information or a story to tell. Sports, there's no direct path. I know people who don't even have a master's degree. I know in sports, entertainment or management, whatever degree is out there. I know people who basically started in sports and in high school in the industry and just haven't left since. I know people who basically changed their career and got into sports. There is no direct pathway to say this guarantees you a job in sports. What guarantees you a job in sports is, like you say, it's between the network, it's between the work ethic, it's between being consistent and being competitive. Sports doesn't just arrive on your lap and it doesn't stay there. You have to be able to change with the times. You have to be able to keep ahead of things. You have to be, just like our athletes, super competitive.
I understand. And what makes you different is, you're not selfish. I've worked with individuals who, they're not willing to pass it forward because of job security or insecurity or anything like that. But you're like, I'm giving you this information, run with it. I want you to win in life. I want you to be inspired to be the best possible person you can be, whether it's in your career or just in life in general. So with mentoring, like I said, I always call you my mentor. I always tell other people, all the advice that you give me, and I like to pass it forward as well. One of my coworkers wanted to get into music and touring and stuff. So I help her, get a gig with the Astroworld Festival that came in November. She didn't have the best experience, but she was appreciative of the experience because it was an open door for her, and I feel bad it wasn't the best experience. I just have to let her know you're going to have some bad shows and you're going to have some great shows. You never know when it's going to happen until it happens, but you just got to keep pushing forward. And, she's somebody I'm still going to root for because you can pass it on to people who just, they take the information, but they may never run with it. You're like, all right. And they just sit there and just be stagnant. And you like, I was rooting for you, but you suck now. So, all right. So, usually, around this time of the year, I'm crazy busy. You're crazy busy as well as you're preparing for the season and stuff like that. How do you balance that work and life, especially during the busy times of the year? How do you balance relationships, with your family, with your friends, and also stay sane while working these crazy amount of hours?
Sure. I think my friends who've known me since the Rockets, they know when I'm in season. And anybody who doesn't know me that I meet along the way, and I describe what a season is, and if you can't reach me or if I seem like super short or super busy, that's why. So everything folds within how do I have you meet me 70% of the way. So especially during the season, I'm just like, hey, come to the game. We'll have dinner after. Or, hey, there's no before the game stuff. I'll let you know that right now. I was like, I have too much preparation and things to do prior to the event. So there's no before the game. But, hey, after, whether it's hey, how you doing? Let's catch up. Let's, have a drink. Let's have dinner, blah, blah, blah. I try to mesh the two, to be honest with you. Sometimes, I want to say there are a lot of sports fans where I get away with it because who wants to decline a game with some good seats and, of course, hanging out with me, just catching up. But I'm like, it's hard. But this is pretty much the career I chose, especially during the season. The thing that I appreciate and I've learned about the NBA and the WNBA is, of course, the WNBA is they're opposite cookies. So for 6 seasons of my life, I was working for the NBA. So there is no Thanksgivings, no Christmases, no New Year's, no Valentine's Day, no Cinco de Mayo, you name it. I was working like that. Those holidays didn't exist. So now having the cookie cutter opposite season, I get to now sit down with my family at Thanksgiving. I get to now sit down and plan out like a fun birthday. I get to now sit down and have New Year's plans and these small but meaningful holidays. So I'm very, very appreciative of being able to see the other side of things, in which I missed for about 6 or 7 years of my life, just, grinding in the NBA. But then, like I said earlier in our conversation, I would never take that experience back, because that set me to understand my strengths, my weaknesses, and how to better prepare myself for the future. So definitely it's a fun balance for the most part. I prioritize of what's important in my life at the time. So one day it can be making sure, I learn how to cook. I mean, I have how many meals down? I eat salad all the time, and that's just not an LA thing. That's because I'm addicted to them. So let that be known. But it's like being able to do, there's so many things I still have to do here, So in LA, there's so much to do. So of course, in anything, as far as activities, things that take up my life are concerts, movies. I live at the movies, so I might as well give them my resident address for the most part. So when that was shut down due to this pandemic, that broke my heart, because of course you can watch it on TV, but I'm that person who's about experience, right? So that folds into being able to see what they're up to, seeing the overall presentation. Anyway, as I digress, it's a crazy life, but it's worth it. And like, who else can say they talked to Candace Parker, or they had a conversation with LeBron, or they even shared the same court as Kobe? I can say all that. So
yeah, that's an amazing experience, man. I was fortunate enough to, for my relationships, like a lot of friendships definitely are gone, especially just high school relationships, people I was really close with. And when I made that transition into entertainment, that was finito, because I was just like focused on this, because I always tell people I wasn't supposed to be here. Even though I have a marketing degree, I went to some no-name school on the other side of Texas. Yeah. I didn't even get the job I interviewed for, but the HR person just gave me an opportunity and I ran with it. But it was an amazing opportunity. I would never rewrite that. I would go and take those same steps, making that transition from Texans, Rockets, now Astros, still with the Texans, the relationships I have, all the events I was a part of, the concerts, Live Nation, everything I've been a part of, man, I would never rewrite that. But my friendships, I had to sacrifice my friendships for that, and had to pretty much make friends within the realm of entertainment. I was fortunate to have a significant other who made that transition with me. Rather than me working in entertainment and trying to start something, she was there from the beginning. So she understood what she was signing up for, because she saw the grind, she saw what I was doing, she saw the late nights, and we just were able to make it work from that point. So it's hard out here, but I would not do anything else. I will stay in this business 100% all day, every day.
You're lucky to have somebody like that, Mm-hmm. But I also think about this as far as like not being able, well, honestly, a part of the transition is not to still be friends with some of the people you knew in high school. That's just an American way of growing. Mm-hmm. Not American, that's just growing up, right? Yeah. So it's like, there's people in high school I still talk to, but then there's you grow up, like you change, your interests change, you change in you're a different person. So that's part of the icing in the okay scenario about it,
Yeah. Having that balance between your work and your regular life can mess with you mentally as well. So you just gotta have the right people around you to make sure you're okay. Do you have any, I guess, mental situations in regards to, trying to balance all of these things, and that happens in your life, especially with your job title?
To be super honest, first and foremost, I have my mom. Like, I talk to my mom all the time, day in and day out, texting her or whatever. So that's that. But then I do have friends that basically, of course, will check on me, but it's just a balance of being able, this isn't my first rodeo, which is good. I've been through, like I said, more aggressive seasons. So it's just like being able to have a season that's about 5 months versus 8 or 9. It's totally different. So it gives you another look, but not to say that time isn't as intense, because it is, because there's so many things that my job entails that was not necessarily like how it was at the Houston Rockets. So I'm responsible for more. But I have people, the best people are the ones that basically you can pretty much text them or pick up the phone and call them and they're there for you, or they'll tell you like, hey, give me a second, I'll hit you back, or they're telling you the stuff about yourself that you don't really want to hear, but they know it'll only help you. Those are the friends that you keep close. You keep the friends that you can see being your friend in the next 4 or 5 years. There are things that are seasonal that you're knowing that that's a seasonal relationship and that happens. But I've been lucky to have a handful of people in my life where they know my career. They know, like, even if I'm not talking as much or if I go MIA, they know what time it is. Like, it's they're there to support. They'll come to the home opener. It's that type of support that keeps you pushing in the industry, and vice versa. I mean, if they needed something from me, and as best I can, be there.
So yeah, friendships are very important to keep you mentally stable in this business, man. Any advice for newcomers coming into the industry?
Be aggressive but patient.
Okay.
Make sure you're on LinkedIn. Make sure everything's spelled correctly. Make sure your profile picture is acceptable and not looking all crazy.
Okay.
Make sure you actually reach out to the people that you connect with in an appropriate way. It's okay to be rejected, but understand that rejection is part of the process. Be curious. Like, there's so many different pockets of sports that you can get into that some of them you didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
So just make sure you're asking the right questions and you're getting that experience, and also make sure you shadow, because shadowing will tell you a lot, whether you enjoy, what you're getting ready to pursue, or whether it's something where it's like, man, I don't like this as much as I thought I would. So that would be my advice for newcomers. For those, even advice, those veterans that are in the game, and like, I don't know if I'm a vet. I guess if you consider, if I've been in sports since 2009, I guess it makes me around this.
Yes, you're a veteran. You're old.
I mean, shut up. The same thing that I tell myself, and I wake up, and sometimes, of course, as a human, you have those lazy days or those days where it's un-Kobe-like. It's just like, to, number one, first and foremost, stay competitive, because your craft can always be better. Like, with hard work, with research, with everything, you have to stay competitive in the field. Mm-hmm. Things are always changing, just like coming out of this pandemic, everything's changed forever, right? So just looking at the different terms and what you would have to do to still be engaging, and what you would have to know, then that's super duper important. I would also say, don't be afraid to give back. I feel like those who give back get more from it. There's nothing like seeing the progression of people that you spoke to, mentored, had shadowed, worked with, and to say that, it's not even to say, to know that you kind of helped them out, or you were able to stop what you're doing and not be all about yourself. Because the moment you're able to, whether it's giving advice, whether it's showing them something, whether it's an internship, whether it's whatever, it's showing you that you know your craft, number one, and it's showing them that there's a space for them to follow their dreams. I mean, it's something that's rewarding to see interns and people continue in this competitive world and be successful. So kudos to those who want to give back. I mean, I've come from a line of them, so I'm continuing to pay it forward like they do.
I got you. Well, that's all I have for you today. Closing remarks, I want you to just do some promo, whatever you're working on. I know your entertainment side, Cass, have been doing some stuff on IG. Talk about that. Put out the IGs if you know them, what you're working on. This promotional space for you.
Oh, promotional space. Let me see. My Cash App is Danelle Winfield. Just wait.
Hey,
so with the LA Sparks, make sure you follow them or follow us on the main IG, which is LA_Sparks. Lots of content coming out always, just because it's very important that we stay relevant. And we would be pretty much getting ready for season about this time. So see how we're still engaging our fans and our community throughout this pandemic. And I hope people are at home and safe. another thing that's near and dear to my heart, and also that I'm in charge of, is the LA_Sparks Entertainment Instagram. My last message would be basically to say thank you to those on the front lines. I mean, front lines so much as simply as working at a grocery store. And that's something that's often overlooked because, of course, they're not nurses or doctors. They're those who are bringing up our food items to make sure that we are able to feed our families. And it's near and dear to my heart because my brother works at a grocery store. So just making sure they are thanked for their services as well.
Oh yeah. Which store is he with?
He works at HEB. Which one? I think I want to say he moved from Pearland to one in Tomball. So.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie, HEB's been on this since day one, man. They had it locked down before any other store. You know, they made you wait in the line outside. They had these custom prints on the floors of where you should stand. They had the little screens over the cashiers. But no, that's really awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming in and chatting with me today. You want to put your personal IG on here or not?
Where are you dropping this? Where's all this going? Where are you dropping?
This is going on Spotify, Anchor, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
What? I'm gonna be on YouTube. Oh, my personal one is Danelle_nivonne. That's NIVONNE, and Danielle without the I.
I got you. Yeah, I get that confused sometimes. So. All right. I appreciate you, man. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Go ahead. This has been the end of the episode of It Up Podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in.